did our business development plan for Broadjam Incorporated. My name is Katie.
I'm Alec.
I'm Jesse.
And I'm Jack.
So Roy Elkins is the CEO of Broadjam Incorporated. It was originally his idea to start this business. He's been involved in the music industry for over 25 years. First as a keyboard salesman, and then later in more executive positions for other companies. And through his work as a musician and through his work with these companies, he has a lot of network and connections with people in the music industry, and even a lot of famous people such as the Beach Boys and Will Smith. So what is Broadjam? You guys already know a little bit about that. It is an online music marketing platform for fans and musicians alike. It has an online database of over 600,000 songs that musicians and fans can access and add to. There are also music licensing opportunities for the musicians that are a part of it, and it provides a social network for those musicians and fans as well.
So here's a breakdown of the website. Currently there's about 120,000 active members with the database, over 600,000 songs, and currently the site is active in about 190 different countries. So besides being an online music database, Broadjam is a social network for musicians and for licensing companies, and it has a variety of tools which it provides users to optimize their music experience and sharing their music, and the main goal being getting musicians' music into things such as film, ads, video games, and things like that. So you will probably recognize just about every one of these icons, networks, sports leagues, TV shows, or networks. And they come to Broadjam with an example such as we need a rock segment for a commercial break during an NBA game. And people submit their songs, they pay a fee to submit it, we'll touch on that later. And if you win the contest, you will get the licensing fee and make money.
So if we're going to talk about marketing, we're going to start with the music industry and how it's transformed over the past 15 years. So 15 years ago, it used to be completely run by the record label, and they would sign you and distribute your music. And so this was back in the glory days of like going to that CD store in a mall and buying your Blink-182 and NSYNC albums, because you don't do that anymore. That's obsolete, clearly. Now it's transferred onto the internet through digital distribution or file sharing. And that started with Napster back in '99 and 2001 iTunes. I mean, that was huge. And that completely transformed everything. This does a lot for our target market, which I'll get to, but it increases the opportunity for musicians, mainly because it has a fair playing field of mainstream exposure now. It's not uncommon for bands that don't have a signing with a record label to be famous. A lot of them do perform at these music festivals that you see now. So again, the music labels are now a little obsolete. It's inexpensive to produce high-quality studio-grade music now, just because the software is cheap, and also people are downloading it illegally, and that's the hard reality. So people are recording albums in their bedrooms, and it sounds like something out of a record label. Also, you have social networks which are contributing to a fan base, such as Facebook and MySpace. I think MySpace now is all about music. So that brings us to our target market of all musicians and independent artists worldwide. And as Jack touched on earlier, there's 190 different countries that are represented on Broadjam's interface, which is really impressive. Also, they target industry professionals, and this is not limited to, as Jack was referring to, music industry. This is also entertainment, so TV shows and whatnot. And so the marketing strategies for Broadjam are real interesting because they spend virtually nothing on marketing. And it's kind of interesting to note that they have 120,000 members off just word of mouth, pretty much. And so what they do is they bank on musicians telling other people or other musicians to join the website. And we see it as like a Facebook for musicians, kind of like a hub to further their careers. Also, promotions are used during music trade shows, which Broadjam attends frequently throughout the year. And they give free memberships to these individuals in hopes that they will prospect on using Broadjam for music that they need for, say, their TV shows Jack touched on. They know a lot of people in the entertainment industry, so they got hookups for magazine publicity, and they create incentives for their users online. So what they'll do is, like, if I buy a membership, I get a certain amount of credit that I could use to buy other people's songs or other features on the website.
So just a quick overview of what we thought with our suggestions and our plan, what we can do to their revenue. The main ones I'm just going to point out are these 4 at the bottom, which are new revenues that we suggest they make, which we'll touch on in a minute. Besides that, also the advertising is very low right now. They could be charging and making a lot more money off advertising considering their website usage and as well as marketing.
So for our 5 recommendations, we had topics on mobile integration, licensing, web development, streaming and promotion, and also financial investment. Their current mobile integration application is just a simple app. It links to their current website. It doesn't really do much. So we suggested that they develop a new application that's standalone. It'll really focus on streaming and browsing of their current selection of music. And the key feature here will be that it'll be able to grab your location and select local music and playlists, and then give you a unique listening experience wherever you are in the world. A secondary round of development on the application could involve video streaming, downloads, and profile management. And we also think that this application should be priced at a free point because it'll make it much more competitive, and also BroadJam can gather revenue from the app by offering ad space to partners.
So as we mentioned before, BroadJam finds licensing opportunities for its users. However, they do not take a percentage of any of the royalties that those users earn once their song is actually licensed. The user pays about $5 to $25 per submission, depending on what level of membership they have, and that's the only revenue that BroadJam currently earns from this process. So we propose that they take a percentage of the royalties. Roy was a little bit nervous about this, and we suggested it at first because he was worried then that people wouldn't pay the submission fee. They make a lot of money off of that because the majority of their customers will never get a song licensed. They're kind of just wishful thinking. So to address that concern, we suggested that they would actually return the submission fees to people whose music was licensed.
Also, Roy wanted us to focus on building a fan base, because when you have more fans, you get more trafficking to the website, more attention, therefore these musicians have a better shot at making it. So their interface is a little gunked up. I think that it's got a lot going on, and so you can simplify it and kind of have a better streaming system, kind of modeled after Pandora or fratmusic.com. If you guys have ever gone to Frat Music, it's awesome. You just go on there, hit a playlist, and it's easy. Well, something like that for BroadJam would be really cool, because it's so easy for the user, especially a college student who just wants to go on there and listen. So we suggested you got to focus on the fans.
And lastly, through promotion, streaming services. They have such a large database. They can offer it to radio stations, memberships to schools, music schools specifically, to get young musicians a part of BroadJam. So as they become musicians and get into the industry, they use BroadJam with their music. We're out of time.
Any questions?
What's the average payout, I guess, when one of the users who submits music, when it's chosen for the licensing agreement?
A lot of the recent ones, the initial fee is anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000.
To submit the song?
No, that's the award.
Initial payout.
Yeah, and then it depends on the contract for how many times it gets used, what you make for each use.
I was going to say depends.
Yeah, but that's the range I've seen on recent contests that have been posted.
And how much do they get for each entry that, not each entry, but for an entire contest? How much do they usually get for one license?
I would say a couple hundred.
Yeah,
it's not much. You got to keep in mind, these musicians don't have much money, and so they're aspiring musicians. They're using BroadJam as a tool to further their careers, so they don't have much to begin with. So a couple $100. Roy was even telling us these guys are struggling to pay their bills, and he knows them on personal levels sometimes. Yeah, so it's really, yeah. So they got to anyways, they don't have much money, so $100 is for a contest win is a big deal for them.
Yeah, the reason why I ask is because if they switch to taking a percentage of the as a royalty on that music, then they would be able to get more submissions because it's free. And then,
sorry, Nick.
I mean,
They like the submission fee because there isn't just a ton of music on their website. If it's free for a contest, there's just so many submissions, and a lot of it honestly isn't quality
garbage.
music that would be used for it. So they really only want you to submit a song if you're serious about it.
I got a question. It seems like a lot of listening to music is now going through a website called Spotify. Is that going to change?
I don't
Raw
know too
Jam's
much about
business?
Spotify. I do know that Raw Jam has one element of Spotify. Okay, so I've never used it, but is it like Pandora kind of?
Yeah, the problem is Pandora and Spotify are not a problem. Pandora is very tight on money and might not.
Because they have to pay royalties like up the wazoo. They don't get
70%
anything.
of Pandora's revenues go to royalties.
I think even more. It's ridiculous. So they don't make that much, and this has an element of that. So
Okay.
you're listening to other people's posted music in that format, as I suggested earlier, like a streaming format. But this is directed towards aspiring musicians who want to make it.
Yep.
Like your
And
top
Roy
level.
made it very clear to us that he has all of these additional services on his website because 9 out of his 10 customers never get what they're coming to the website for, which is to get their music license. So there has to be these other features that keep them.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.